I only have one more question for
Yes.
you. You're trailing in the polls, and some
Mhm,
people, by the time this interview airs, will have already cast their absentee votes.
mhm,
There's a lot of people who are still left undecided.
right,
So, what is your message to them, people who are kind of maybe waiting for one candidate to emerge or
mhm,
have that one moment that makes them feel that's the one?
right.
What is your message to them, and why should people be voting for you as opposed to people who are higher up in the polls who are seen as the more likely candidates to
Right.
make it past the primary?
Well, nothing is likely in this event, and nothing is, um, um, it's not something that we've seen. This is a unique election. Every election is unique. The very fact that no one has, or I don't believe no one has, I believe that I have separated myself in a lot of ways. The very fact that not getting on certain platforms or invited has created a murmuring in the crowds, and it has created a groundswell in the crowds. I don't necessarily trust a lot of the polling. And, particularly if you're looking at polling, and this is not just sour grapes at all. I can't be that person. I preach against it, so I'm not going to be that person. But what I will say is, if you're using polling, particularly if you're using polling from 2021, let's look at what we have. We have a declining constituent base voting over the years because a lot of people felt it was a foregone conclusion that Mr. Duggan was going to win. And that's why you don't have the turnout that you do. And so if you're looking at looking at people who voted in the last election, not only that, the last election, we were shrouded in the idea, or not the idea, the reality of the pandemic. So you saw some decline in that particular area. And so you're also looking at individuals, and what we're looking at, and we're touching upon people who've never voted. We're looking for those individuals. Voting starts that you can, I believe you can, I want the people to recognize that they can go register to vote, I believe up until July 21st in order to vote August 5th. You're speaking of the absentee ballots that are going out, I think, on Monday, and people will have voted. I would say to you all, get this video out as soon as you can. Yeah, so then people will see it before they vote. But again, I tell people, look and check my record, check our websites, check what they say. And what you leave sometimes, and I think when you leave a lot of these candidates, you leave with sometimes a certain sense of emptiness or vagaries that exist, and people speak topically, and they talk in platitudes, and there's nothing detailed. Like, you and I can go on and on about this. It's just, not that I have all of the facts, all the information, but I know where the knowledge is buried, and I know how to mine that knowledge. And the thing is, I'm very upfront about the things I do know and I don't know. But having studied this long before the idea of casting my name as a candidate, I wanted to be prepared because the city of Detroit deserves that. We are at, I don't say Detroit, we've come a long way, especially when you look at the Midwesterner that says we're the second least favorable city in America to raise a family. We've come some distance, and we've held the dam from breaking. And that's where we're at. And now you need a leader who understands what we're up against. You need a leader who's demonstrated themselves. I've been in distressed cities for quite some time. And those are cities that I represent as city attorney, but I've represented cities throughout and municipalities throughout this entire southeastern Michigan, and it has been something that's been. It's a great piece of work to be able to help cities, particularly the ones that are under distress, and that's what you have to do. But check the records and listen to what they're saying, and listen, and listen to whether or not you're inspired by what they say. But you don't want to vote because people have popular political names or just popular names. You don't want to do that because our vote is too important. I was sitting